Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi. I'm very pleased today to meet with you in another episode about the seerah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Remember last time we talked about a very important topic related to the love for Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and how this love that the Muslim believer has for Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is one of the great forms of worship, and how we love Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we talked about two different types of love. Love that is, we call it permissible, encouraged, rewarded, and love that has to be watched, revised, let's say it in the minimum way. Today I'm going to talk about another aspect related to the life of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is his relationship with children. How the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam treated young people. I'm really emphasizing the importance of this issue. Every issue in the life of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is of great importance. These issues that we'll be talking about later on as well. But we in the world, we talk about children rights. Why, in the first place, why are they raising this issue? Why we should talk about women's rights, human rights, children's rights, animal rights? Why? Because the rights of those people, animal, of the universe, I mean the environment, have been violated. Therefore, you have to have some kind of regulations. Therefore, you preserve these species, whatever, and human beings should be treated in the right manner. Although the regulations are made by people, and they regulate based on what they think should be done. Islam as a way of life did not leave any of these issues away. It has been part of in the heart of the Islamic teachings, as a matter of fact. Because if we look back to the understanding of Islam, it is a huge umbrella term that governs life. Governs life. And after life, you see? So no system in the world could claim that. And this is why Islam, by definition, is submitting one's will willingly and completely to the will of Allah. So there is guidance in every aspect. I'll start with a simple story. And how Prophet Muhammad treated children. When Prophet Muhammad was in Mecca, and he realized that many of his companions were persecuted, tortured, he was looking for an avenue for them, a place in which they may seek refuge, and where they could really practice their own religion in peace, and therefore they could develop in their own faith until the right moment comes where the Muslim state will start and they will find protection. So he sent some people to, before that, to Abyssinia, Habasha. Okay, to Habasha. And I talked about this issue, but we'll talk about why the Prophet selected Abyssinia in Africa, the continent where we came from. Okay, you should be very proud that this is the continent which preserved Islam of this time, which gave refuge to the most righteous people on earth, when their own families rejected them, when their own tribe tortured them. They had no other place to go but to Al-Habasha, to Abyssinia. Ethiopia, it's part of Ethiopia and Eritrea, this area. So, Allahumma salli ala sayyidina. Those people, when they heard about the advent of Prophet Muhammad to Medina, the arrival, the migration of Prophet Muhammad to Medina, they migrated back. This is, they call them Ashab al-Hijratain, the people of two migrations. They migrated twice. First to Abyssinia, to Habasha, then to Medina. They had children among them. And this is very attractive to me, the story is attractive to me because I'm a linguist. And some of those children acquired probably Amharic or Tigrinya, the language that were spoken in They were mixing with the children of Habasha, Abyssinia. So they were bilingual. Okay, they were bilinguals who acquired another language beside Arabic. One of these girls among them, nicknamed Khalid. She was called Khalid. And the Prophet himself was in the reception of those people. He went there to welcome them to Medina. He was really looking. There were no mobiles, no telephones, no fax machine, no telegraphs. He was anticipating their own arrival. So he was there. He wanted to be there to welcome them. So when they came and he started hugging the kids and he met this really young girl. Her name was Khalid. And some kids are very cute. All kids are cute, but some more cute than others. Really. Playful, joyful. So this probably was among those kids who had these qualities. She attracted the attention of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And she would come and play with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, with her father, come to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he would just make her smile and laugh. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has his own way of dealing with children. One day, he received clothes, clothes. In the past, we don't buy clothes in this way. We buy them in, what we call them, folded clothes, and you distribute them by meters. And there was a small piece, and it was a very beautiful piece of cloth. And he said, today, I'm looking for somebody to give him this piece of cloth. Everybody wanted to get it from the Prophet ﷺ. Very colorful, very nice. He looked around, he said, where is Khalid? This small girl. Her father was very happy. Imagine that you are the father of Khalid. He said, what can I do, O Prophet of Allah? He said, bring Khalid to me. Please bring her to me. He didn't tell him what he's going to do. When she came, he wrapped the cloth around her and he said to her, Sana, Khalid. Sana is not an Arabic word. It is probably an Amharic word. But the Prophet ﷺ got it from that girl. Sana, beautiful. You see how he cared, and he remembered this small little girl. She's in the mind of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, in his heart. He was very much concerned about the community. And she was dancing around with the cloth around her. Very joyful. It's not any man on earth. It is the Prophet ﷺ himself who's given her this very beautiful gifts. When we look at this, and when I hear this story, I have children. Some of you have children. Sometimes we give little time to our own children, claiming that we are busy. Because we're busy. We work sometimes from early in the morning until you come back. Wake up there. Okay. Late in the evening. And you think you're busy. And sometimes you don't think of your neighbor's kids or your relatives' kids. Very close relatives sometimes to you. But the Prophet ﷺ was caring about everybody, including those young ones. And he gave special attention, not only in terms of Salaam Alaikum, but in terms of spending time, in terms of language. He's telling that child, and we know this is linguistic and code switching. When you change your language sometimes, from one language to another, from one code to another, it has a meaning. Here it has a different meaning for me as a linguist. Now, you're my friend. You know Sana, I know Sana. Other people don't know what we're talking about. You say you make some kind of strong connection. And the Prophet ﷺ was among the best communicators on earth. Allah gave him the power of speech, the power of communication, the power of communication. And this is a small incident in the life of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And imagine, every time I think of myself, saying, if I were that girl, what would happen to me? All my life I would keep that piece of cloth. I would never wear it. You see? And this is probably what happened to that daughter, that child. Okay? She kept that peace for all her life. Because some of the companions, when the Prophet ﷺ would give them a gift, they say, I want to be wrapped. That would be my shar, my kafan, when I die. To the extent, you see, because this is not from any human being. It is from the Prophet ﷺ himself. Another occasion tells you how the Prophet ﷺ was received by the people of Medina when he migrated. And how children played a very important role in his life, in your life, in my life, and in the life of every Muslim, not every Muslim, every human being. Because this deen is affecting the whole world, has changed the whole world, and the whole world will never go back to what it was. From the moment that Muhammad ﷺ declared that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah ﷺ. This, when the Prophet ﷺ came to Medina, his companions left everything behind. Many of them were very wealthy, millionaires. Okay? But they left everything behind. Some members of their family were left behind, either against their will or based on their own will. Some even left their own wives because the wives didn't want to become Muslims. See? I don't leave you. If you don't want to become Muslim, migrate, I'm not going to continue with you. They were ready to sacrifice everything for the sake of Allah. So when they came to Medina, everybody of the people of Ansar of Medina were trying to help whatever they could. Offer accommodation, some food, whatever. There was one lady, her name was Sayyid. She was a very poor widow. She was a poor widow. Along with her children, she had a number of children. So she realized that everything was giving something to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and she was not giving anything. Those people didn't live for Prophet Muhammad ﷺ a long time. They are not like us, have read his seerah, and you know the details of his life. But they believed in him as the great messenger of Allah. When they saw him, realized that the radiation that comes from Prophet Muhammad ﷺ overwhelmed them with love, with respect, with guidance. And this is why they were ready to give their lives. They gave their lives for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and for supporting his Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So this lady left her home. Nothing to give to Prophet sallallahu. When she was looking at her house, she saw her son. She didn't have children. But she saw a son. The oldest among her sons was 10 years old. Very handsome, young boy. I'll give him to Prophet Muhammad. See, they were ready to give their own children. Imagine this. How was beloved Prophet Muhammad. And this is an orphan. She took him to Prophet Muhammad. She said, what do you think? He said, I'd love to be with Prophet Muhammad. He walked along with his mother to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and she said, "Salamu alayka ya Rasulullah." Assalamu alayka ya Rasulullah. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Rasulullah. The Ansar, the supporters, the people of Medina, every one of them gave what they could give, but they have nothing to give. This is the most precious human being on earth for me. This is the most precious commodity, people, commodity human being. I'm giving to him to serve you. The Prophet ﷺ didn't need anybody to serve him. Everybody would like to assist him. Not to mention a 10-year-old boy who would be a burden. You know, children, there would be a burden. Okay? Everybody wanted to help Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Among the greatest of the companions, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, and all the companions of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. He had a number of people who were helping him as well, very close to him. He looked around and said, I want him to be your servant. The Prophet ﷺ didn't want to turn this woman away and break her heart. She wanted, he knew that she was very sincere. And if he would say, no, I have many people to serve, what would happen to her? It would break her heart. Even the heart of that child was very joyous to be in the presence of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That one day he will be called, when children play around and say, I serve my father, I serve my mother, my uncle. Who are you said? I'm working with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You see how proud he will be? You know who that child is? Anas ibn Malik. Anas ibn Malik. And she said, this is my son, Anas, to serve you. To serve you. Look how Prophet Muhammad treated Anas ibn Malik. طبعا, Anas ibn Malik is called now, labeled, Prophet's servant. When you mention the name, the servant of Prophet Muhammad, everybody knows. Like the Adhan caller of Prophet Muhammad, who was it? Who was the Adhan caller? Bilal. The whole world knows about him. Here, when you say the servant of Prophet Muhammad, it is Anas ibn Malik. So, great honor. Great honor. This is why many Muslims name their children Anas. Even some of the organizations, he will have one of the greatest, largest orphanages, orphan organizations, charity organization, called Anas, named after Anas, because he was an orphan himself. Okay, so this young boy was the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and look, when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they asked him how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam treated you. He said they served the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam for 13 years. For 13 years, until he was 23. Did he stop serving the Prophet ﷺ at 23? No, the Prophet died. And he went to the service of the Prophet ﷺ in his da'wah, working for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the sake of the teaching that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ brought. He never said to something that they did, why did you do it? You shouldn't have done that. How many times do you say that every day to our children? They get tired of it. They're not affected by it anymore. So they turn the extension that they don't care anymore. Because every time we shout at them, stop doing this. Why did you do it? You should have done it a different way. And he said, he never said something to something I didn't do. Why didn't you do it? And he gave us another occasion when the Prophet ﷺ, I wanted to see how this young man lived with Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and how the Prophet ﷺ brought him up, educated him, how he served the Prophet. This young man, he said, the Prophet ﷺ sent me to do something for him one day. Then I saw the children playing, I started playing with them. I forget what the Prophet sent me for, just like any other child. What would you do for that? You see, you like those kids better than me? You like playing better than Prophet Muhammad ﷺ? Millions of people would like to serve me. And now, look what you're saying. You're a careless kid. What did the Prophet ﷺ do? This is reported by Anas. He said, after some time, the Prophet ﷺ came after me. He patted me on the back. He looked around. He said, oh, I forget, O Prophet of Allah. And he smiled. He smiled. He just wanted to teach him. Because anybody could do it for Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. This is how the Prophet ﷺ treated those young children. And I'll tell you about something very important with Anas. He said, one day I came late to my mother. He's been serving the Prophet ﷺ. And he came late. He said, Maurice, why are you late, my son? He said, it is the secret of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Imagine a child, 11 years, 12 years, 13 years old child, said, it's the secret of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Imagine your kid coming to your home, and I said, what are you? He said, I was in Margaret father. I did something for him. What is it? He said, I said, appeal to my father. Are you going to protect me? He said, I'm your mother. You shouldn't keep secrets away from home. But she never said that. What did she say? What did she say? She said, yes, my son, It is the secret of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You shouldn't tell it to any. You think it's bad secret? No. Okay? But that child, because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't ask him to tell others, he was not ready to tell others. We want to see how children love Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam before looking at how he loved him. It is expected that you see how those kids were living with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and how he loved them, how they respected him, how they served him, how they were ready to sacrifice for Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because, my brothers, love in its own greatest form is when it's linked to Allah, and that love is reciprocal. It's two-way. Though they feel the love of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam for them, and nobody could reach the love of Prophet Muhammad because it's a love of a prophet. No matter how much we love Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we will not reach the level of how he loves us. And remember the hadith we talked about last time when we said, what if I have seen my own brothers? May Allah make us among the brothers of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet one day was making salah, and he's the leader of the community. He's the leader of the community, the greatest community on earth. No community would be better than the community of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he's been nominated by Allah to be the best among the prophets, and his followers are the best among the followers of the prophets. And the best on earth after prophets are the followers of the prophets. This is why Abu Bakr as-Siddiq is the best among all humanity other than the prophets. When the prophets, then Abu Bakr as-Siddiq will come. This is why Abu Bakr. This name is very common in Africa. Abu Bakr. You see? You could hardly find a single family without Abu Bakr. Sometimes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Muhammads. Muhammad al-Awwal, Muhammad al-Sani, Muhammad al-Sadisu. You see, because they loved the Prophet ﷺ and his companions so much. Now sometimes we call our kids non-Arabic names, non-Muslim names, which is very sad. So the Prophet was leading the prayer, and he was making what? Sujood. He was prostrating. And the companions running after him. But one of the sujood took him too long. Longer than usual. Longer than usual. When the salah finished, not everybody of the companions would dare to ask. Not of them. But one of them was outspoken. He wanted to know, not out of being rude or impolite. No, he just wanted to know, because the Prophet ﷺ is there for them to learn from, to get guidance. And they were in full knowledge of the details of the life of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. No human being on earth had the life of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is exposed in a way that no other human being on earth would have that, would reveal everything in his life, because he's a role model. So he came and said, "O Prophet of Allah, with a smile, you made sujood that was too long. We thought that you have passed away in sujood. That means it was too long." The Prophet smiled. He said, "It is a very easy matter. You see my son, Al-Hassan, his grandson. When I was making sujood, he climbed my back. Allahumma salli ala Rasulullah. You see, he talk about the love of Prophet. He talk about, I mean, no matter what we say, Allah, He will not give this prophet what Allah expected him. Well, this is why Allah said to him in the Quran about him, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. You have acquired the greatest of best manners. And this was the greatest praise by Allah for Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, he with a smile to his companion, something very easy. My son, Al-Hassan, climbed my back, and I didn't want to disturb him. He could climb down at any time he wanted. You're making sujood, you're making tasbih, and I'm teaching you here. He didn't say this to them. But the lesson we get. He could have said, I am teaching you how to treat children. He didn't say, he practiced that himself. A child climbing your back. Those great men standing behind you, waiting for you to say Allahu Akbar. But they were making sujood. They were in the best position in front of Allah. He didn't torture them. He didn't give them a hard time. No. He gave them the best of time to be with Allah. And that child was a reason for them to enjoy that moment with God. You see? So this is why this is another incident how the Prophet ﷺ was teaching. It was reported that the Prophet ﷺ would take his granddaughter. Her name was Umama, the daughter of Zainab, one of his daughters. And he would carry the child with him, make a ruku, make a sujood, and the community is behind him. And he's carrying the little girl in his salah. Just to see how the Prophet ﷺ was dealing with children. And now we talk about children's rights. Because we are in a world where children are roasted in the oven. There are listeners, raped by their own caretakers, sometimes fathers, uncles. We know this. Molested. Even buried alive, you know this? Infanticide has not disappeared. Who was the one who liberated children, little girls, from being buried alive? Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they are killed nowadays. You know, in China, more than 1 million young girl is killed in different forms, thanks to the new technology. Because for the, we call it one child policy, you can have only one child. Everybody wants to have a boy. No, one boy. If it's a child only, I need a boy. Why, daughter? You need a boy. Why girls? You see? Allah spoke about those in the Quran. وَإِذَا بُشِّرَ أَحَدُهُمْ بِالْأُنثَى ظَلَّ وَجْهُهُ مُسْوَدًّا وَهُوَ كَظِيمٌ يَتَوَارَى مِنَ الْقَوْمِ مِنْ سُوءِ مَا بُشِّرَ بِهِ أَيُمْسِكُهُ عَلَى هُونٍ أَمْ يَدُسُّهُ فِي التُّرَابِ. Allah is really explaining the situation of the people of Quraysh. Because the Prophet ﷺ, he said, you cannot do that. وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ بِأَيِّ ذَنبٍ قُتِلَتْ. When this buried alive girl will be questioned in their judgment, for what reason have you been killed? Since you realized it. Okay? And they will be, inshallah, among the people of paradise. Why have you been killed? For what reason? And who will be the judge? Allah will be innocent. Okay? So, Allahumma salli ala Rasulullah, this takes place nowadays in the world. Thanks to the ultrasound technology. You can tell. And everybody knows if it's a boy or girl. Why would you look at that? Who cares? It's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, when it's a boy, they keep it. When it's a girl, and you cannot know that unless it's in like 7th month, 8th month, you could tell exactly, for sure. They will. So, miscarriage will take place. Okay? It is a form of, they call it infanticide. This is killing. This is not abortion. This is killing. And sometimes in remote areas where there is no such technology, when women give birth to little girls, I don't think of a mother who would kill her daughter. No, it's usually the father or the family. The pressure. And it's girl. They wanted a boy. And who raised the banner of human rights, of children's rights? A long time ago. Allah said in the Quran, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَوْلَادَكُمْ خَشْيَةَ إِمْلَاقٍ. Don't kill them because of poverty. نَحْنُ نَرْزُقُكُمْ وَإِيَّاهُمْ. We give you sustenance before, and we'll give you sustenance as well. See, this is just glimpses of the life of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and how he treated children. We could continue for the whole day. Every moment a new incident would come to my mind, and how the Prophet ﷺ was treating children. This is why he was very much beloved by everybody in his community, even by animals. And if we have time one day, we'll talk about how the Prophet ﷺ treated animals. Even inanimate items were moved to love Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. He reported the Prophet ﷺ that before I became a prophet, there was a rock in Mecca. Whenever I pass by that rock, there is a sound comes, As-salamu alayka ya Rasulullah. Don't you think that the mountains know Prophet Muhammad ﷺ? Wallahi, they know. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. The land that he walks on knows Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. The animals that he passes by know Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. These are some just incidents in the life of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, where his love for children was expressed through practice, not through talk. I'll end with a very important incident. Tells you the humbleness of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. When you meet somebody with a dignitary or somebody with a high position, come then, whatever, you expect it to be like that way. But when a child, you sit back to them, you speak to them, you whisper in their ears, they whisper in your ear, you talk to them, you give them something, you start crying. This is something interesting. The Prophet ﷺ one day was walking from his masjid along with one of his to be companions better, one of the great Arab leaders, and he was a priest, and he was the king of his own tribe. His father was among the most generous people among the Arabs that can see on earth. But he is exemplary for his generosity. His father was not a Muslim. His name was Adi ibn Hatim al-Ta'i. His father Hatim al-Ta'i was exemplary for his generosity, but he didn't meet with Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And Adi was like his father. He was a great leader, a very generous leader, respectable leader, but he was very learned, educated, highly educated, and he was a priest, he was a Christian at that time. He came to Medina, it's a very long story, for a purpose. And the Prophet ﷺ took him by hand. Give me your hand, brother. And he said, come to me into my house. On the way, when they were walking, little girl stopped the Prophet ﷺ. Said, oh, Prophet of Allah, I want to speak to you. Imagine you're walking with a dignitary, somebody you hope greatly that he will become a Muslim, a great leader of his tribe. Young girl playing around on the dust with her hair and everything, and she's coming. Say, oh, Prophet of Allah, I want to speak to you. I need you for a word. Imagine yourself with somebody say, I'll talk to you later on. Yeah. Go and play. The Prophet said, Adi, could you give me a minute to talk to this girl? Adi looked at him and said, because Adi was the king, and he thought this man wanted to be the king of the Arabs, and he was in control. This is not the behavior of a king, not a human being, an ordinary human being. Impossible. He couldn't imagine, and you didn't know the Arab. That time they were burying girls alive. You need to have that at the back of your mind. When you get a girl, you bury her alive. And now look at this man. It's not even a boy, it's a girl. And he's sitting with her and leaving this great king standing, waiting for him to finish what she needed from Prophet Muhammad. We don't know what she said to the Prophet and what the Prophet said to her. That is not really our... I mean, he has reached a level of kindness. This is how he loved children. Can you blame children for loving Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? We'll stop at this place and listen to your own questions. You had many beautiful questions about time. I don't know if you could, this collocation would come good in English. Beautiful questions. Is there a question that's beautiful? There are some ugly questions. The English language has developed in a way that has allowed some of these collocations to take place. Okay? Let's go to your questions if you have anything in mind. And I prefer questions related to the Seerah of Prophet Muhammad, but we could take questions from other than the Seerah of Prophet Muhammad. Everything, any question related to Islam is related to Prophet Muhammad.
So, the time when the little girl wants to speak to the Prophet, the king didn't best.
No, you see, the king was astonished. Ibn Hazm was astonished. And he really said, this is reported by Adi himself, he became Muslim. Okay? It's a very long story. Inshallah, when we finish with Sirah, we might even talk about some of the companions of Prophet Muhammad and how the life of Prophet Muhammad, the character of Prophet Muhammad, the teaching of Prophet Muhammad have illuminated their lives, have changed their own world perspective. This man changed completely. But he looked at him and said, how could this cannot be a human being? This cannot be a king with such kind of manners in Arabia at that time, even nowadays. Because he thought that this man is competing with us kings. He wanted to be a greater king. Then he became Muslim later on. This was one of the reasons, 2 or 3 reasons he became Muslim. But this was one of the reasons. Before Prophet Muhammad would speak to him and say, oh, you have crucifixion, you have 3 daughters, he didn't say anything to him. He just, with his manners, realized that that's not. Okay, that's enough for me. That's enough for me.
I only have something to comment based on the love of children to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and women. It is stated in many hadiths, in some instance, that one of us, Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam sent a battalion, if I may say, a group of listeners to fight against the Mushrikun. He ordered the leader of among his companion not to kill the children and the women. For this, I heard this several times.
Now we talk about enemies' rights. When you have an enemy, do they have rights in this world? We talk about the United Nations, the Security Council, Human Rights Watch. Nonsense! We talk about how even enemies have rights in Islam. How the Prophet ﷺ practiced that against his own. Here we talk about children and nice people. Now we talk about even the enemies of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. They had very important rights that have to be maintained and never violated. Jazakallah khair. Anything else? So we want to call it for an end today. And may Allah reward you. We'll meet inshallah another time and continue talking about the life of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at this very nice, great moment in the day of Jum'ah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala